Welcome and well met, all my fellow warriors of light, and thank you for joining me here as we talk about the big new event coming to the world of Hydaelyn. Or I guess it's Aetheris now? It's strange that they never once mentioned this world's real name until Endwalker, whatever. Either way, I think that it's time we give some thoughts to what could be coming for us on our way to 7.0, and what we know so far about the next expansion. I know it's a bit early, but it's never too early to go over what we know so far. Now, what I love about Final Fantasy XIV is that we're often completely wrong in our predictions, and yet we're never upset about it because the storyline makes up for all that, so I'm not going to be too disappointed if any future predictions I make turn out to be wrong. Now, the community has gotten plenty of experience in trying to predict what's going to be coming for us in future patches, but it's usually very basic information that we're correct about. Like when we get a trial fight and maybe the most logical options to what the trial fight could be about and against who, and that sort of thing. Such as how when 4.3 came out, a lot of people were predicting that we were going to be getting a new primal of Tsukiyomi. Of course, we weren't aware that she was actually like a major villain that we were up against previously, but a lot of people were right in assuming that the new trial fight was going to be about Tsukiyomi. Mostly because I think the title kind of gave it away, to be honest. Things like that. But what makes Endwalker so unique is that for the first time, we're really breaking the formula like we did with previous expansions. Usually, we get the main expansion throughout the X.0 storyline, and with us and the Scions, usually dealing with like the aftermath of the main story and then the cleanup around the X.1 patch. And then we set up the beginning of the end for the storyline for the X.2 patch, and then we wrap up the storyline for the expansion in the X.3 patch, which would leave the patches of X.4 and X.5 to kind of lay the stepping stones for the next expansion. That's kind of how it's always been since even as far back as A Realm Reborn. But with the end of Endwalker's 6.0 storyline, that's the end of the Hydaelyn and Zodiac chapter. So now we're going to be heading into a brand new storyline, and Yoshida did state that this patch cycle is going to be starting a new path for Final Fantasy XIV. Whether or not we will be returning to that old formula for 7.0 and beyond is anyone's guess. But Yoshi-P did state, however, that they did finish up the storyline for the 6.x series, and after the retreat that the writers went on, apparently the storyline, or at least the basic outline for the story for 7.0 has already been decided. We don't have any other clues or hints to what could be coming for us, but as of right now, the rest of the 6.x patches will be setting up the groundwork for the next expansion. For 6.1, it was kind of a theme of going back to the beginning or starting over again as a new adventurer. Despite everything that we've already seen and done, it was kind of nice to kind of get back to our old roots. With the 6.2 patch, it featured the 13th, or the Void, as a new stage. Whether or not that's going to be a main focus in future expansions is also yet to be determined. But at long last, we will be learning more about the Void, and it seems safe to assume that various other worlds will be making appearances as well. For the current storyline, the Warrior of Light and some of their friends wish to learn the secret to being able to travel to other shards. To begin with, though, they learn of the tear in reality itself in the form of a void gate straight to the darkness enshrouded world of the 13th. And now we're helping Vitra to locate his missing sister Azhdaya, who disappeared into the void thousands of years previously. Since then, we've met with some new characters and had some familiar features from previous games, and it leaves much for us to wonder about. I'm not going to be revealing too much about the storyline for 6.2, just in case others haven't seen it yet. You won't be disappointed though, you will love it. But I will say that it is a very different role than what we've seen so far. Yoshi-P did confirm for us though that for at least the 6.x series, we will be learning much more about the Void. We will not know for certain where we're going to be heading off to next or what the storyline will be about until the very end of 6.5, so it is a bit of a wait. Now, I did another video a little while ago about the possible dates for the future patches, and I do think that the earliest that we can get a 6.5 patch would be of August 2023. They may be releasing the news a little bit earlier, though, maybe at the next Fan Fest, which will be taking place in 3 stages, as it usually does. And, I mean, it could be possible we learn about the next expansion as early as July. Though, by estimating the 4 months for every new patch, I really don't think that we will be finding it out until 6.5, which most likely will be taking place sometime next August. So maybe we actually get more information about that at the second fan festival that's going to be happening in Europe in October of 2023. So an entire year away, unfortunately, but don't quote me on any of that. Anyway, the point of this discussion is to talk a little bit more about the big event that is coming to Eorzea. Yoshi-P stated that of all the patches for Endwalker, they're going to be continuing our story into the Void, which we started back in 6.1, but he hinted that 6.5 will end with a certain event that changes the game plot and kicks off the next expansion. But what is this next big event? Some people are predicting that something big, like another calamity, will be happening. Personally, I don't think that we will be getting something that dramatic, at least not in the source. Now, if we were to get a calamity happening in the 13th or another shard, I mean, I can totally see that happening. I personally think that we are slowly starting to mess with things that perhaps we really shouldn't, that we should probably leave well enough alone. I mean, as we learned from the Aya, and for anyone who has played through the current storyline for Pandemonium, we might have to keep a watchful eye on Y'shtola, because from the Aya and from Pandemonium, we've seen the dangers of people who are willing to go too far for knowledge, that they are so thirsty for knowledge that it's caused all sorts of problems. And I can't help but feel that we'll be playing at least a little bit of a role in the future patches. Y'shtola, she's just so eager to really learn everything she possibly can, and normally I support all that, and it is nice that we are getting to spend a bit more time with Y'shtola. We really haven't had a chance to actually do that recently, but I don't know, I feel like she's really becoming to the point of obsessed with really trying to learn about all these other worlds, and I think that that's going to get her into trouble eventually. But I think that perhaps what this big event is going to be involving, it's going to be with Golbez's plan. And that might be including the moon for the 13th as well. I will be doing a separate video on exactly what I think Golbez's plan will be, so that will probably give a little bit more detail on it. But to sum it all up, I think that his plan will somehow end up damaging the barriers between the source and the other remaining reflections, thus making it either maybe easier or even possible to be able to travel to other worlds. And so that's going to be kicking off our reason to want to go to these other worlds. Though, to be honest, we still have the rest of the source that we haven't had a chance to explore yet, and we really don't know how things are going to proceed with the 13th, or if it's even possible that we can save it, but already the seeds are being sown for change. I mean, the source, for the most part, is at peace already. I mean, Medion and Xenos are gone, along with most of the Asians. I mean, the fate for a handful of the others remain unknown for right now, but the important thing is that the biggest headaches for us have been dealt with. The final days are over with, and the world is safe, and the most dangerous of the blasphemies have already been taken care of. The Garlean Empire is focusing on rebuilding and reaching out with, peaceful negotiations with other nations, so I don't think we need to worry about them coming back for resuming their march for war. The beast tribes have calmed down and are pretty much more interested in discussing peace with their neighbors, so less primals are being summoned. So yeah, I mean, the biggest threats that we had to deal with since A Realm Reborn practically have been taken care of or solved and just wrapped up in a nice little package. So either new threats are going to have to come to the world, or we're going to have to go looking for it elsewhere, whether that be the 13th, another reflection, because remember, we still have a handful of worlds that have survived up till now, or maybe we go to a new place on the source like Mericidia or the New World. Whatever, the point is there's bound to be trouble waiting for us no matter where we go. As of right now, what do we really know about the future patches for the 6.x series or the new expansion? Well, we do know that everything leading up to it will be involving Golbez, the remaining Archfiends, the Void, Ashdaya, and I'm willing to bet the Moon in some capacity. You'll find out why in my next video, but that's the basic idea for the remaining patches, even though we don't have a clear idea where this madness is going to be leading us to next. But as for the 7.0 expansion, we know that it will be including a brand new storyline and new areas and new antagonists at the very least, and possibly for the first time, we're going to be done with the Asians. We don't have to deal with them anymore. Anyway, another thing that we do know about the characters that we all know and love so far, they did state in previous interviews that not only Thancred, but especially Kryl will be playing much bigger roles in the upcoming expansion. And that's, for Kryl at the very least, they plan on having her maybe have a slightly goofier side to her, maybe because the weight of the final days has been removed and she's starting to enjoy life more. But she may also be getting not only an outfit change, possibly a new job as well. But we don't know about that just yet. Otherwise, they did confirm that they have the finished key art for it for 7.0, and I'm guessing that the title has already been decided upon. Nice to know that Kryl, who has always taken a bit of a back seat, will be getting a bigger role, and they already have the story planned out though. As for the big event, like I said, I'm still going to be wondering about that and perhaps changing my mind a couple times until we actually lead up to 6.5. As to the concept of a new calamity coming to the world, like I said, I don't think they would go that far, at least on the source. If we're talking about a calamity coming to the 13th, possibly bringing big change to the other shards, or maybe the key to introducing new enemies for the Warrior of Light and their friends, I think that's a much more likely possibility. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for right now. That's all we know for the time being, and just a little bit of a hint about what I think might be coming, but don't worry, I'm sure we are going to be getting plenty of information in the remaining patches for Endwalker, and we can really start to focus on what is coming for future content. In the meantime, we have plenty of time to really take it easy and enjoy ourselves. Next week, we are going to be getting the patch of 6.25, which will have a lot of content to keep us busy, at least for the time being. Hopefully at least until 6.3. If I had to guess about the most possible date for the next Bane patch, I would have to guess either mid or late December at the earliest, with early January of the next year to be the latest. Anyway, that's it for right now. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope that you all enjoyed this video, and I'll be seeing you soon. Bye!